Hi, this is your lesson 4.5a video on writing a function rule. We're going to start on the side of our notes here where it says what math symbol do these words represent. So just a quick brain refresher of the math words that we will be using. So of in math means multiplication. Is means equals. Product is multiplying. I'm actually going to do these little stars. Multiplying. Quotient is division. Sum is adding. And difference is subtracting. So those are the most common words that you will see and the symbols that go with them for math. Please keep in mind a quotient can also be a fraction bar. All right. Number 1, writing a function rule that represents y is 5 less than the product of 4 and x. So the first thing we need to do is find our keywords marking the text. So is means equals, less than means subtracting, but also remember than is a turnaround word. And then we have product, and product means multiplying. We're multiplying two numbers, so we read that whole phrase, product of 4 and x. So you see the word product, you need to multiply two things, so we go above the word and to put our multiplication sign. And then we can cross the word and off. Okay, so that product of is referring to 4 times x. Now that we have that, we can write out our answer. So we have y equals, and then 5 less than is going to end up at the end. So minus 5 goes at the end of the problem, and then product of 4 and x, that's our multiplying. So 4 times x. We're going to look smart, though, and glue them together so that we have 4x. Second one, C is 8 more than half of n. So again, marking the text, is means equals, more than, okay, is our next phrase. More means plus, than is a turnaround word. Half of, and there's our next multiplication word, of means multiply. So we're multiplying half and n together. All right, so now we just write this out. C equals, and then we're adding 8 at the end because that's a turnaround word. And then 1/2 times n is just 1/2 n. Next one, 7 less than 3/5 of b is a. So marking the text, we have less than. Less means subtract. Than is that turnaround word, so we're going to move it to the end of the problem instead of the front. 3/5 is a fraction, and then of is another keyword. Of means multiply. Multiplying always requires two things, so it's that 3/5 and b that's being multiplied together. Is our next word, which means equals. So now I'm going to go ahead and write this. I'm sending the 7 minus to the end. And then I have 3/5 b, or 3/5 times b. And then that equals a. And I suppose I could have written this a lot closer than what I did, so we'll make that a bigger subtraction sign. It looks weird, but there we go. 3/5 b minus 7 equals a. Next one, 2.5 more than the quotient of H and 3 is W. So here we go. More means adding. Than is that turnaround word. So instead of it being in the front, we're going to turn it around and sending it to the back. Quotient means division. Okay. Division requires two things. So we have to keep reading to find our two things. H and 3 are our two things. So we're actually going to put that division sign above the word and then we can cross it off. Okay? So we're taking H divided by 3, and then is means equals. So putting that all together, we're sending the plus 2.5 to the end. And then we have quotient there. H, order matters for dividing. So H gets written first because it came first. It goes in the numerator over 3. So that's H divided by 3. Remember, you can write it as a fraction. Plus 2.5 is equals W. All right, word problems here. So a landfill has 50,000 tons of waste in it. Each month, it accumulates an average of 400 more tons of waste. What is a function rule that represents the total amount of waste after M months? Okay, so we are talking about the total amount of waste, which is going to be W equals, and then we have some information. So it already has 50,000 tons of waste in it. So that's our starting amount. And then something happens. And that something is that each month it is accumulating 400 more tons. Okay? So it's an addition problem because they're increasing. And we're increasing by 400 each month. Okay? And then if we look at our variable here, it's after M months. So we need to use the M variable. We don't know how many months. That's why it says each month. So, and each is repeated addition. Repeated addition is multiplication. So 400M. Okay? If you wanted to, you could also write it W equals 400 M plus 50,000 because of the commutative property of addition. Either way works. All right, a dog kennel charges $50 per day to board dogs. And then upon arrival, each dog has to have a flea bath. That costs $12. So writing a function rule for the total cost of D days for the boarding plus a bath. Okay, so the total cost is what we're trying to find. So that's going to be C equals. And what happens there? Well, it's $50 per day. Okay, and it's talking about the D days. And we don't know how many days that's going to be. We do know it's per day. Per day is repeated addition, which is multiplication. So we're taking 50 times the number of days, and we don't know how many that is. So 50D. And then we are adding in this $12 that has to happen when they arrive. So using that function rule, we want to find how much it will cost for 10 days. So what we have to do is use that function rule of C equals 50D plus 12. And then we're going to talk about 10 days. And that was referring to the D here. So we plug in that spot, we're going to plug in the number 10. Nothing else changes, so C equals 50, that's multiplication. So 50 times 10 plus 12, following order of operations. 50 times 10 is 500, plus 12 is 512, so the cost is $512 for 10 days. That's an expensive stay. All right, another example for you. The price of pizza is $6.95 plus 95 cents for each topping T on the pizza. So write the total price, P, okay, as a function of the number of toppings. So P is the total cost of the pizza. And in this problem, it says it's $6.95 for that pizza, plus 95 cents for each topping, okay? And each is repeated addition, which ends up being multiplication. And it tells us to use T for the number of toppings. So it's going to be 95 cents times T. And there's our function rule. All right, number 5, an airplane 30,000 feet above the ground begins descending at a rate of 2,000 feet per minute. So writing a function rule here. We want the height above ground, so H equals, and it started at 30,000 feet above, so positive 30,000, and then it begins descending. Descending means it's decreasing, going down, so it's a subtraction. Is descending at a rate of 2,000 feet per minute. That per there is repeated addition, which is multiplying. So we're gonna have 2,000 based on the number of minutes. So every minute, 2,000 decrease. So how many minutes will the plane, after how many minutes will the plane be on the ground? We take that function rule that we're using, H equals 30,000 minus 2,000 M, and we're going to plug in. We're trying to find how many minutes, so we're plugging in an M for M here, okay? Oh, sorry. Let's try this again. I'm making a mistake. We need to find how many minutes. That's what the question's asking. So we're plugging in right here for H on the ground is the height, which is 0, a height of 0. So we're going to plug in 0 there, equals 30,000 minus 2,000 M, and then we solve this equation. And I'm going to run out of room. Subtract 30,000. I'm going to write over here. I get 0 minus 30,000 is 30,000 equals negative 2,000 M. Divide by negative 2,000. And M equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 30,000 divided by 2,000 is 15. So the answer will be 15 minutes. All right, number 6, we're going to skip. Number 7 is the last problem we're going to do. So Joe works at Cherry Berry and earns $6.95 per hour. So his earnings, so how much he gets paid, equals the $6.95 per hour. And remember, per is repeated addition, so multiplication. He gets paid $6.95 every hour, but we don't know how many hours he's working. so $6.95H. After how many hours will Joe need to work to earn $100? So we're going to use that same equation, E equals 695H, and we're going to plug in. Now the question is asking how many hours. So we are trying to find this number here. We know already that he earned $100. So his earning is 100 equals 695H. And then this is attached by multiplying. So I divide by 695 on both sides. That will give me what H is, which is 1438, and you could use a calculator for that. So he will have to work 14.38 hours